All right, hello everybody. This is a quick video to go over your midterm because we will be at Pittman High School this afternoon and then having that same pattern on Friday of being at Pittman and going to class. I'm a little worried that we're going to run short on time to really go into the midterm in depth. So I want to use this video as an opportunity to do so. I will also post this video to a discussion board. That way when you watch it, and you can watch it multiple times to really get a good gist of what's going on. If you still have questions following that video, you can pose those questions in the discussion board and then I can jump in and work with you and make sure that you're prepared for the midterm. So when is the midterm? Let's start there. So the midterm is actually going to be next Monday. Today's the 9th. It's going to be on the 13th. In terms of what time we're going to be doing this midterm and how this will work, it'll be a little bit of a different class session. And I have that posted here. So my science group, I'm actually going to have you come at 1:40 and you're going to start us off. And from 1:40 to 2:40 p.m. you'll be there. Nobody else has to be there at that time, just science. And then once you're done at 2:40 science, you're gone, you're able to go home. And then math, I'm going to actually have you arrive at 2:40 and then you'll be done at 3:40. And then social studies, music, and PE, 3:40 to 4:40. Now I know that's a little bit past class, but I figured in this kind of circumstance and case, since you're not going to be there the entire time, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal to have you stay an additional 20 minutes just to make sure we give you adequate time. So why are we doing it a little bit different? Because I've invited some guests that are content experts in your field that can kind of help me give you feedback and assess you in this process of you developing as an emerging educator. So that's why the differentiation in time, we can focus specifically on a certain group, as well as for my music and PE folks, these are practicing teachers that can come in later, and that's why I have you kind of at the later time. So this should work out really well, and so just so you're aware of that schedule. So what are we doing? What is the midterm? And how are you going to be assessed is really what I want to focus on. So I'm going to go through the directions. You can find them on Canvas, but just give you some commentary on that so you feel prepared and ready to go. So this assessment is a performance assessment. It's not a traditional assessment where you're just demonstrating knowledge or any of those types of things, or even just maybe even a skill. You're going to be doing all three in the performance assessment. You're demonstrating knowledge, skills, and dispositions. And so what are you doing? And here are the directions. So the gist of this assignment is that you've been invited to attend an interview for a teaching position. But rather than a typical question and answer with a principal, you're actually going to be giving a presentation about your emerging philosophy of education. So this kind of an assessment, a performance assessment, is grounded a lot in progressivism, this idea that you learn by doing. And that we also can more richly assess you in this way instead of just through a multiple choice and or through an essay or any of those other types of means. And really that's what I want to see. I want to see your development and your knowledge, skills, and dispositions as a teacher. That's why we're doing it this way. Another reason why we're doing it this way is that you're going to be interviewing for our program. You're going to be interviewing for teaching positions. You're also going to be up a lot as a teacher in front of audiences. So this provides you another opportunity to practice developing those types of skills, as well as being assessed on various aspects of those skills. So in the presentation, what should you include? You'll see that the topics that I'm asking you to include are topics that we've discussed up to this point. So you should feel pretty comfortable with them. So the things you should include in your presentation, you should include your understanding of the educational system and how you will play a positive role in that system. Now, I'm not expecting this huge grasping, like this is the system in a nutshell, but just recognizing, giving us an understanding of the system, that, you recognize specific aspects of the system, you recognize that maybe there's some inequity in the system, and essentially demonstrate that you understand that system and that you understand how you're going to play a role in that system. The next thing you should include is your instructional philosophy and approach. That should be grounded in the readings and the comments and discussions of that class, as well as demonstrating your understanding of lesson components. And you'll do that by giving an example of a lesson on how you might teach a standard in your content area. So just pick a standard and then go through some of those lesson components. You will also include in those lesson components an instructional approach. So much like we've already done the past few days, you'll just give us a sample of that in this midterm. You also want to include your philosophy of classroom management, which we'll talk about today, and you'll kind of walk through how you would manage a class. And then finally, just giving us a few strategies of how you would address diversity in your classroom to, again, the diversity of cognitive, social, cultural, affective, which I've listed here, motivation and engagement, which right now you probably were like, what is that? By tomorrow, you'll feel much more comfortable with what that is. And I'll be really explicit on what I'll be looking for in the midterm in that session. So keep in mind the presentation really should be no longer than 10 minutes. I'm assuming that most presentations that I've had in the past in this nature have been like 7 to 10 minutes. But just keep that in mind, don't go over 10 just because of our time constraints. Okay, so how are you going to be assessed? What are we looking for in this, this kind of performance assessment that you're going to be demonstrating? So the rubrics right here, I know it kind of looks awkward in the way that it's broken up on Canvas, but essentially the proficient category is on target. That's where we want you to be in this part of the program. And that roughly, and just so you know my grading philosophy, that will be roughly about an 85% a B, right? So you're right on point for where you need to be in this class. However, I know that some of you are like, a B, like I want to try to get an A on this assignment, and I applaud that, but keep in mind getting an A means that you are above proficient, that you're above meeting that target. And I've listed in what way you can do that. And so here are some ways, or again, just be really clear on the descriptions. If you have questions about those descriptions, feel free to give me feedback, share ideas, or ask questions. And I want to make sure if an A is what you want, I encourage you by all means to push yourself to get that A. But just so you're aware of my philosophy of grading when it comes to rubrics. So that's the rubric. In terms of what we're looking at, synthesis of course content, so that you've taken all those above mentioned ideas here, brought them all together in a presentation, and have been very clear and coherent about what you understand. In terms of dispositions, I'm looking at professionalism. Are you dressed well? Are you communicating well? Do you look and act like a professional? In terms of skills, I'm looking at engagement. We've talked about that in the first half of this semester. Can you present to us an engaging way, keep us engaged? And one way that you can do that is through the integration of technology, which when I go look at the ISTE standards for teachers, something that they want you to accomplish is an ability to communicate relevant information and ideas effectively to students, parents, and peers using a variety of digital age medias and formats. Now, I'm making the assumption here that you know a lot about technology, you know a lot about presenting with technology, and/or this may be an opportunity for you to learn further on ways that you can do that. So the integration of technology isn't necessarily what I'm looking for as much as like how you use technology to enhance your teaching or enhance teaching us. So again, it's just another tool that you can use to show us that skill of how you're trying to engage us. So once again, we've got knowledge, we've got dispositions, and we've got skills. And that's what I'm looking for in this, this assessment in a nutshell. So I think that is pretty much the midterm in its entirety. Again, if you have questions, I'm going to post this video to a discussion board, and you're more than welcome to ask questions, lean on your peers, and have kind of that opportunity to prepare for the midterm. And I'm excited to see what you all come up with, and I will see you soon.